the cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
A totally unexpected one, too.
Right. It wasn't, a 20-something influencer or some scandalous reality star. It was a 75-year-old icon and a rock and roll emergency room doctor.
Completely rewriting the script on what a headline-grabbing romance is supposed to look like.
Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Welcome to Starscope Report.
So today we are pulling from a really massive, super revealing YouTube interview with John Zambetti on Confessions at the Cabana.
Plus, we got some great entertainment updates from E! News, AARP, and Parade.
Exactly. And the goal today is to unpack this wild headline. Jane Seymour is engaged at 75.
Which is just, it's such an incredible story.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore how this unexpected later-in-life romance totally defies Hollywood's ageist stereotypes. We're going to look at how it proves that the most thrilling chapters of life can happen in your 70s.
It really shatters every expectation society hands us about aging,
Yeah, totally.
We are so conditioned to believe that the unpredictable parts of our lives close around middle age.
Mm-hmm.
And this story just violently, beautifully proves that wrong.
So to understand why this engagement is making such waves, we really have to look at the background, like where they were both starting from.
Right. The emotional baseline.
Exactly, because Jane Seymour is 75. She's a legendary actress, former Bond girl, star of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and she had been married 4 times before.
And she was very public about the fact that she was not looking for love. She had closed the book.
Yeah, her life was full. She had her kids, her grandchildren, her charity work. She wasn't actively seeking a missing puzzle piece.
And John Zambetti, who is 78, was in a different but equally closed-off space. He had been married to his wife, Joan, for 43 years before she passed away.
Oh, wow, 43 years.
Yeah. And in the interviews, his candor about his grief is just striking. He basically felt like he'd had a spectacular ride and was just waiting out the clock.
He actually said he was just waiting to, in his words, see you on the other side.
Which makes the fact that they met at all almost impossible to believe.
Totally. Because they didn't meet on a dating app or at some exclusive Hollywood gala. They met at a concert in Malibu 3 years ago.
And the wild part is, who set it up?
Yes, it was orchestrated by their adult children. It's like a Hollywood script where the casting directors are your own kids.
It really is.
John's son, Johnny, is best friends with the rapper Shwayze, and Shwayze happens to be really close with Jane.
She actually calls herself his surrogate mother, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So their kids basically looked at their single, grieving parents and decided they should meet.
Think about the psychological role reversal there. We are so used to protective parents scrutinizing their kids' romantic choices.
Oh, for sure.
But here, the children had the emotional distance to recognize a connection that the parents themselves were just too guarded to see. They looked right past Jane's fame and John's grief.
So they set up this meeting at a Shwayze concert, and that leads to their first official date a week later.
Just a lunch, supposedly.
Right, just a lunch. But it turns into this massive 5-hour marathon conversation. It went on so long that Jane had dinner plans later and just tagged along for dinner.
He wasn't letting her go.
No. But, okay, I have a question about this because merging lives at 75 seems, incredibly complex.
It definitely is.
Is it harder to merge 2 entire lifetimes of history, or does the wisdom of age actually make it easier to cut through the noise and know exactly what you want?
Well, it's fascinating because at 75, the foundation is completely cured. You aren't dating for potential like you do in your 20s.
Right. You're not trying to figure out if you want the same things in, 10 years.
Exactly. You are sitting across from a fully formed human being. You aren't trying to change them.
They're basically saying, here is my finalized resume of joy and trauma.
Precisely. And Jane actually said in one of the sources that 70 is the new 50. She's talking about emotional availability,
Yeah.
the vulnerability to say, I have survived divorces and the death of a spouse, and I am still willing to risk being known by someone new. That takes immense courage.
It really does. So if you're listening to this and thinking your own romantic window has closed, this story is just the ultimate counter-argument.
Absolutely.
But wait till you hear what came next. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about a billionaire yacht trip, a musical grand gesture, and a shockingly hilarious twist nobody saw coming.
The stakes get incredibly high. Incredibly fast with these two.
If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
So let's talk a little bit about who John Zambetti actually is.
Yes, because just calling him a doctor drastically undersells the guy. He has this completely wild double life.
He really does.
He's been an ER doctor for 40 years, which is brutal. But since 1964, he's also been the lead guitarist and singer for a surf rock band called the Malibus.
And the parallels he draws between the emergency room and the stage are just brilliant.
Oh, the trust thing.
Yeah. He points out that in trauma triage, when a patient arrives, they're in absolute physiological panic.
Right, they didn't choose to be there.
Exactly. So as a doctor, you have a split second to earn a total stranger's absolute trust. You have to lower their psychological defenses instantly.
Which is exactly what he says you have to do as an opening act for a rock band.
It's the exact same muscle.
Right, because the Malibus opened for huge groups like the Yardbirds, and when you walk out as an opener, the crowd is cold. They don't know you.
They definitely didn't pay to see you.
Yeah, so John realized winning over that cold crowd takes the same empathy as treating a trauma patient. You have to project instantaneous authority and deep empathy.
He calls it bringing humanity into chaotic situations. And that highly tuned emotional intelligence is exactly what he needed to connect with Jane Seymour.
Because beneath all the global fame, she just needed a grounded, authentic connection, someone who wasn't intimidated by her celebrity.
And that gets put to the ultimate test almost immediately.
Oh my gosh, the yacht story. This is my favorite part. So early in their relationship, Jane goes on a book tour, right? And she gets invited onto this massive luxury yacht cruising the East Coast.
And we're not talking about a nice little sailboat.
No, this boat is literally filled with billionaires. And John is back home in Malibu just sweating it.
Because at this point, they hadn't even held hands yet.
Exactly. So he realizes he has to pull out all the stops to win her over. He's competing with billionaires. So he goes into his home studio and writes her an original song called A While.
An original song.
Yeah, and he records the demo, mixes it himself, and sends her the MP3. And Jane loves it so much, she asks the yacht captain to literally pull the boat over so she can go back to him.
She literally disembarked a billionaire's yacht for an MP3.
It's just the ultimate grand gesture. But okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
In a world of Hollywood billionaires and movie stars, does a homemade MP3 prove that authenticity always beats out extreme wealth? Or is it just because Jane is already incredibly wealthy?
That is a really valid pushback. I mean, Jane Seymour does not need financial rescuing.
Right.
But that is exactly why the yacht held no power over her. Extreme wealth can buy a nice setting, but it can't buy emotional resonance.
So she wasn't looking for a lifestyle upgrade.
Exactly. When she listened to that song, she heard a man who would use his ER-level empathy to accurately read her emotions. For someone who has spent 50 years in the superficial machinery of Hollywood, being truly seen is rare.
That makes total sense. And it helps that the MP3 wasn't just like amateur hour.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
John has serious rock pedigree.
Right. The sources mentioned he hung out with Fleetwood Mac, and he was just swapping stories in Mystique with Mick Jagger, like talking about Jagger singing a 30-song set every single day just to stay fit.
The guy knows what he's doing musically. He actually called Jane a tender hurricane in one of his songs.
Tender Hurricane, I love that.
It's a masterclass in making a partner feel understood. It validates her high-achieving energy while fiercely protecting her vulnerability.
Okay, well, that's not even the wildest part. Stick around because the actual proposal involves a hidden safe, a lost ring, and a lot of bare skin.
It is where the polished Hollywood narrative completely breaks down into beautiful chaos.
It really is. So John decides he simply can't wait anymore. He tells the press he's an old-fashioned man, and he actually hates the word partner.
Yeah, you said it sounds like a business transaction.
Right, like a law firm or something. He wants to be a husband. So it's Valentine's Day, the day before Jane's birthday, at their home in Malibu.
He's 78. He knows he doesn't have decades to waste playing it cool.
Exactly. So he pulls the ring out of his hidden safe. He gets down on one knee, or tries to, and as he opens the box, the tension spring is too tight.
Oh, no.
The ring pops out, goes flying through the air, and rolls straight under the bed.
Which is literally a nightmare scenario for a proposal.
Total nightmare. So John crawls under the heavy bed frame to get it, but his bad knee gets stuck. He physically cannot pull himself out.
Oh, my God.
So Jane, who weighs like half of what he does, has to grab his legs and try to physically drag him out from under the furniture. And the kicker, they were both completely naked.
This is the ultimate collision of romance and reality.
They just ended up on the floor laughing hysterically. It's like a slapstick romantic comedy scene, but with way more heart and way fewer clothes.
But think about the mechanics of why that is so important.
Yeah.
When we are young, we script our romantic moments, right?
Yeah.
We want the perfect lighting, the perfect aesthetic.
Oh, yeah. Everything has to be Instagram ready.
Exactly. We perform the concept of love. But aging introduces physical limitations, a bad knee, an awkward angle that totally strip away the performance. You cannot maintain a cool facade when you are naked and wedged under a mattress.
You just have to surrender to the absurdity of it.
And it perfectly aligns with Jane Seymour's public stance on intimacy in your 70s. Society pushes this sterile narrative that age means romance is just companionship.
Just two friends holding hands on a porch.
Right. But Jane violently rejects that. Maturity gives you a better understanding of your body and a refusal to let age dictate passion.
Which totally ties into her charity work with the Open Hearts Foundation. Her whole philosophy is about living fully in the present and keeping your heart open.
Both of them took the immense grief of their pasts and just threw the doors wide open, which brings us perfectly to the actual ring John managed to fish out from under the bed.
Yes, the ring. It is gorgeous. It's a toi et moi design, which means you and me in French.
Yeah, it has such a cool history, too.
It does. It actually dates back to 1796 when Napoleon proposed to Josephine. So instead of a single diamond, Zambetti specifically chose this ring with two distinct stones.
And the detail on the band is what's really incredible.
Right. It has this pavé path leading to each stone. Pavé basically means paved in French, so it looks like a continuous paved road of tiny diamonds.
The intention behind that design choice is just emotionally devastating.
Zambetti explained that the two separate stones represent their two distinct past lives, and the pavé paths are the long, complex roads they each walked before finally meeting.
The decades of marriages, careers, raising children, surviving tragedies.
They walked those separate roads for over 70 years before finally arriving at the center to stand side by side.
And that is exactly why this story resonates so deeply. It validates the entirety of a person's life. When people remarry, there's often a temptation to pretend the previous chapters were just mistakes.
Like, oh, I finally found the right one. Let's forget the rest.
Yes. But John's ring design says the exact opposite. It says your previous 70 years weren't a waiting room. They were the necessary, painful journey required to make this exact moment possible.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because stories like this really change how we look at pop culture.
Absolutely. Age brings a distillation of character. You know exactly what you want, and you know exactly what you will not tolerate.
Which brings us to a fascinating final thought for you to chew on. How does society's relentless obsession with youth blind us to the fact that our most authentic, uninhibited, and deeply connected chapters might not even begin until we're well past retirement age?
What if the twilight years are actually the prime time for our boldest leaps of faith?
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.